David. I've been in Dong country 3 months now, and I've made a friend. Yen, this kid. I think he's probably like a Dong rebel. He refuses to sing the old songs, spends most of the year in Guiyang, working in the factories. And he speaks a little English. Yen told me the Dong rush out to sing for the tourists because they're paid by the provincial government. I guess he was trying to burst my bubble. I have to admit, I was disappointed. Suddenly all I could see were the satellite dishes all over the village. And then I noticed this farmer standing knee-deep in a river, catching fish with his bare hands and a cell phone strapped to his belly. I thought, one slip and that phone's finished. Then suddenly I realized the guy's been doing this his whole life. He knows he's not gonna fall. Ever. So, even if he does wear a cell phone, isn't he still amazing?
Hello?
Hi, may I speak to Julia Donovan?
That's me, honey. Who's this?
My name's David Henry Huang. I'm a playwright.
Well, of course I know who you are. My son was in your play.
That's sort of why I'm calling. Are you aware Marcus is going around claiming to be Asian?
Huh? Oh, no, darling. He's playing an Asian in The King and I.
Not just on stage. In interviews, he's telling people he actually has Asian blood. As his mother, doesn't that bother you?
Should it?
Don't you think you should tell him to stop?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about truth. About honesty. Didn't you try to teach Marcus?
Just back up your truck, Mr. David. Don't you know anything at all about show business? Marcus is doing The King and I. Who do you think reporters want to talk to? The King or the I? They ask him questions, and what's he supposed to say? Nothing?
He's supposed to tell them he's white.
David, this is America, where race shouldn't matter. I didn't even know about the racism Asians still face today, but Marcus raised my consciousness. He told me it doesn't matter what someone looks like on the outside. That is why he's given his time and money to your good causes, and frankly, you should be fucking grateful.
David, I really appreciate you meeting me like this.
Well, via U.S. in such a civil tone, it really threw me for a loop.
I didn't want to talk about it over the phone, but...
What's wrong? Trouble in paradise? Catch your boyfriend putting butter on his rice?
This is serious. Marcus is under investigation by the government. It all started late one night. They called our home and...
Wait, you and Marcus are living together?
Yeah, it just made sense.
And what were you two doing late at night?
Nothing. Reading the newspaper, watching TV, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I should get that.
Are you kidding? Let the machine pick up.
It could be something important.
Whatever it is can wait. I can't.
Hello.
You are in such trouble.
Is this Marcus G?
Speaking.
I'm calling from the office of Senator Fred Thompson on behalf of the Committee on Governmental Affairs.
Do you realize it's 11:30 at night?
Yes, I'm sorry. Would you mind answering some questions?
Can you call back in the morning?
The committee would be most grateful for your cooperation at this time. Our records show you made a donation of $250 to the Asian Pacific American Leadership Council.
Yes, at their fundraising dinner in Washington last year.
Are you aware that their founder, John Wong, is under investigation? That a good number of donations he gathered may have violated federal campaign laws?
What do you want from me?
Are you an American citizen?
What?
Where are you from?
You mean where am I really from?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, never mind, it was a joke.
Why was that a joke?
Because Asians are always being asked, where are you really from?
Who else has asked you this?
You're completely clueless, aren't you?
Why don't you clue me in? What is your ancestry?
My God, they can't even ask that in auditions.
Auditions?
I don't have to answer that question.
I suggest you do, because there's something strange about your file. It seems you made your donation under a false name.
Well, yes.
You realize that is a violation of federal campaign law.
I used my stage name. I didn't know that was illegal.
Why did you change your name?
To more accurately reflect the roles I was playing.
And what sort of roles were those?
Asian roles.
So is it fair to assume your ethnicity is actually Asian?
I don't have to answer that question.
We keep getting stuck on that one, don't we?
I'm gonna hang up now.
That would be a bad idea.
This whole conversation is a bad idea. You guys are so on the wrong track. In fact, you know something? You're idiots.
We thought that would be the end of it, but now we're getting more calls from the FBI, the Democratic National Committee.
So wait, let me get this straight. The government's investigating people who made donations to presidential campaigns?
Asians. Just Asians, because they think foreigners tried to influence the campaign. Anyone named Lee or Wong.
And somehow Marcus got on that list?
Can you believe it? He made a donation using his stage name. There's going to be a press conference tomorrow to expose this crap. David, why are you laughing?
Well, he wanted to be Asian, didn't he? Every day of my life. Be careful what you wish for, Kimosabi.
I was hoping you'd show up at the press conference to help.
Moi? Marcus doesn't need my help. He's Captain Asian America, a role model for us all.
David, listen. Asians, accused of being evil foreigners, this is exactly the kind of shit they always throw at us.
Well, now they're throwing it at him, and it's making my day.
I don't believe this. You used to stand for something. Now, it's like you've turned into some kind of fake Asian.
Me? I'm the fake Asian. Someone's not looking in her own bed.
Fuck you.
For your information, the reason I can't make your little press conference is because I'm doing something much more important for Asian Americans. Ever hear of a network television? I'm working with this comedian on a brand new series. She's Korean American, just like you. Leah?
On the set of All American Girls, starring Miss Margaret Cho.
Margaret, hi! I've been hired to take the show in a new direction. More Asian, so use chopsticks. Use chopsticks. And when you're done, you can put them in your hair. And Margaret, you're wearing shoes, which is something we don't do in the house. Take off your shoes. We don't wear shoes in the house. Now, I'm gonna place this abacus right here.
New York Times, September 12th, 1997.
Today, 18 Asian American groups filed a complaint with the United States Commission on Civil Rights.
I was harassed by midnight telephone calls. My integrity was slandered and my citizenship was questioned.
Leaders of these Asian American groups say this telephone call and 1,200 others to Asian contributors is part of a harassment of people of Asian descent.
USA Today, July 9th, 1997.
Congress yesterday began long-awaited hearings on the campaign finance improprieties of 1996 with an assertion by Committee Chair Fred Thompson, Republican of Tennessee.
High-level Chinese government officials crafted a plan that would increase China's influence over the U.S. political process. Our investigation suggests the plan continues today.
Senator Bob Bennett, Republican of Utah.
In my opinion, these activities are classic activities on the part of an Asian who comes out of that culture.
Senator Sam Brownback, Republican of Kansas.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Senator Richard Shelby, Republican of Alabama.
We've got to remember the Chinese are everywhere. They're real, they're here, and probably very crafty people.
Representative Tom DeLay, Republican of Texas.
There's a high probability this is money from foreigners. If you're friends with a guy named Johnny Wong or Marcus G, and you have friends by the name of Arif and Saraya, and I cannot even pronounce these names, Cheong Am, Yogesh Gandhi, Lapsing No, Ning, Nig.
Representative Jack Kingston, Republican of Georgia.
Illegal campaign contributions are just the tip of the egg roll.
Senator Brownback.
John Huang brought in so much money for the Democrats because under his salary agreement, no raise money, no give bonus.
New York Times, March 6, 1999.
China stole nuclear secrets from Los Alamos. Written by
Name withheld on advice of counsel.
government officials have administered lie detector tests to a Los Alamos computer scientist who is Chinese American. This is going to be just as bad as the Rosenbergs, one official recalled saying.
Dave, look, a fax for you. So why are you getting all
From Marcus G.
God, get that away from me. He probably wants money or something.
Dear David,
I don't want to hear it.
Shh, I'm reading for myself. Did you read that story in the New York Times about Wen Ho Lee, the Chinese-American nuclear scientist they're accusing of treason?
Marcus says they're holding a rally to stand up for Wen Ho Lee, and they want you to join them.
Well, are you gonna go?
Of course I'm not gonna go.
But
Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm preparing a pitch for a movie project.
but Marcus says.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry you couldn't make the press conference exposing the phone calls, but it's all snowballing. First a campaign finance scandal, and now Wen Ho Lee. This country is gearing up to make China its next big enemy, and as usual, who do they go after first? Asian Americans.
That guy's so paranoid. Hey, maybe Wen Ho Lee's actually guilty. Ever think of that? And if he's not, what's Marcus so worried about? Doesn't he know we have rights in this country? Only in my research for this play did I finally read a transcript of Wen Ho Lee's interrogation by the FBI, March 7th, 1999.
Washington is under the impression that you're a spy. And this New York Times article is doing everything but coming out with your name. Everything is pointing to you.
I'm just telling you. I believe truth, and I believe honest, and I know myself. I did not tell anything, okay? I told you more than 10 times. Eventually, something will be clear cut, okay?
What are you going to tell your friends? What are you going to tell your family? What are you going to tell your wife and son? They're going to say, your father is a spy.
But I'm not a spy.
What if they decide, okay, we're going to polygraph your wife?
On what? On what subject?
What difference does it make? Your kids are going to have to live with this, okay? Your wife is going to have to live with this. This is going to eat away at them like a cancer, just like the cancer that you had, but all the way.
Probably worse than the cancer.
That's right, this is worse than the cancer.
Well, okay, let's stop here, cause I'm very tired.
Wen Ho, this is serious. Do you know who the Rosenbergs are?
I heard them mentioned.
The Rosenbergs are the only people that never cooperated with the federal government in an espionage case. You know what happened to them? They electrocuted them. Wen Ho,
Yeah, I heard.
the Rosenbergs professed their innocence. The Rosenbergs weren't concerned either. The Rosenbergs are dead.
Well, my life, I accept it, okay? I will try to do the best I can, and I believe eventually God will make it his judgment.
Senator Peter Dominici, Republican of New Mexico.
That man, Wen Ho Lee, doesn't deserve civil liberties.
Justice for Wen Ho Lee! Justice for Wen Ho Lee!
I'm Asian American. Arrest me too.
Racial profile this!
Asian American does not equal spy.
Who's next?
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 So, Yellow Girl 8, where are you really from?
Omaha. Growing up Vietnamese there, I felt so alone.
You're not alone.
I read your plays in high school.
Which one?
All of them.
So, what are you wearing?
Dave, it's your mother. Just want to let you know. There's going to be an article tomorrow in the New York Times about your father. It's a big one, front page, and it's not very good.
New York Times, May 11th, 1999. China sent cash to U.S. bank with suspicion slow to rise. Written by?
Name withheld on advice of counsel.
Late in the spring of 1996, federal bank examiners discovered that the Central Bank of China was moving tens of millions of dollars into the United States, depositing into a maze of accounts at a small California bank, Far East National. Far East National CEO Henry Y. Huang, 69, is a well-known figure among Asian Americans in Los Angeles. Huang's office is decorated with photographs of himself with various American presidents, including Bill Clinton, and with a poster from the Broadway hit M. Butterfly, written by his son, David Henry Huang, formerly a director of the bank.
Oh, shit.
This reporter guy, no respect.
Dad.
Alice says, do you have an appointment? This guy says, no, I have to see Mr. Huang. Then he just walks in. If I was in the bathroom, then he'd just walk in there too. No class.
This is the first thing you gotta think about.
You know, son, I have a bathroom in my office.
I know.
With a shower and everything. Beautiful.
Henry, listen to your son.
Dad, the newspaper article.
Right.
Talk to your father.
Did you see the part when he called me short? I'm 5'10". That's not short.
I know.
He called me short. You know what that means. The guy's a racist.
Dad, what's really important now, what you really have to think about is a Senate investigation. Are you gonna have to testify before Shelby's banking committee?
Of course.
You've already been subpoenaed?
Not yet, but I will be, no matter what it takes.
Wait.
I told my lawyers, you spend whatever you have to. Pull all the strings you've got. Get me that subpoena.
You want to appear before the committee?
Of course.
See, Dave, why you have to talk to him?
On national television, lights, cameras, senators, and me giving it to those guys. You discriminate against Asians. This sort of thing must never happen in America.
Here, it's not going to go like that.
All around the country, people stop what they're doing, listen to me, and suddenly the image of Asians is improved forever. Oh, beautiful.
Dave!
Dad, it's very hard to make yourself look good before a congressional investigation.
What about Ollie North?
Well, it's not impossible, but...
What does Ollie North have that I don't? First, I become a spokesman for Asians all around this country. Then next, who knows? Maybe Governor of California.
Not again. He thinks he's going to become a hero.
This is my chance to speak up for Asians in this country, just like Marcus G.
That's not so easy.
This article, terrible, but the placement very good. Front page of the New York Times. Dave, even you never been above the fold.
You really just want to lie low and hope all this goes away. Hang on.
Did you see my picture?
It's my cell phone.
I was wearing Armani.
Hello?
May I speak to David Henry Huang?
Speaking?
My name is...
Name withheld on advice of counsel.
I wrote the article in the Times this morning about Far East National.
Oh,
I understand you were on Far East's board when all this occurred.
well,
I'd like the chance to prove you had nothing to do with this. If you wish, our conversation can be completely off the record. So can we meet? It's off.
good, because I don't
I
think
know, and I respect that.
So why...
Just in case you suddenly feel like there's something you want to say on the record. It's here for your benefit. You control it. Just give the word and it's ready to go.
You're not what I expected. I mean,
The way I look.
Not that there's anything wrong.
I look like the guy who shows up to do your taxes, huh?
I don't really know what I was expecting,
I
but...
suppose I should tell you about the first time I saw M. Butterfly. It was one of my most memorable evenings in the theater.
Thanks, that's very kind.
To be honest, it's one of the reasons why it kills me to see you mixed up in all this stuff. You don't need this. You don't want to go before the Senate Banking Committee, believe me. The legal bills alone.
So why did you write the article?
Can I tell you something about myself? I have no agenda. If I've gotten something wrong, I'm going to be the first who wants to correct it. Because as a reporter, all I've got, my whole currency, is my reputation.
But what if there's no story here?
And that's what I'll write. David, I respect you a lot. I want to be corrected. Just give me a chance.
All right, what would you like to know?
You were on the Far East board for quite a few years. Why?
basically as a favor to my father.
Do you want to go on the record about any of this? You can go off at any moment just by punching this button.
I can turn it off.
Absolutely.
All right. When my father asked me, I was coming off one of the busiest years of my career. I turned him down at first.
How did he convince you?
He said, "Son, I need your help." And you know, growing up in a Chinese family, you feel an intense sense of duty to your parents. Filial piety is deeply ingrained in the culture. Dad took me to the grave of my Titi, my paternal grandfather, and there we lit joss sticks, incense, and it was as if the voices of my ancestors rose up, telling me it was my filial duty to join the bank board. Of course, I also felt a sense of responsibility to the Chinese American community.
Can you explain?
Far East National served immigrants or refugees. I thought if I could help the bank succeed, it would help us all. As Chinese Americans, we need to empower ourselves by any means necessary.
This empowerment is important to you.
It's the reason for everything I do. Just a few years ago, for instance, I started to conquer a new world, network television, through which I'd be able to dig deep into American psyche, dispelling stereotypes, creating positive images.
Your television project. Was it the Margaret Cho show?
I'd rather not talk about that, all right?
You are the boss.
You know, I didn't write it. I was just brought in to try
I
to fix it.
understand the whole topic. Colin, may I? These large deposits, when they started rolling into China, in from China, were you aware of the size of these amounts?
Well, you see, as a board member, I wasn't really all that concerned with the bank's finances.
No.
I saw my role more as a spiritual and moral compass.
Can you explain that statement?
Well, you have to fight the power.
What power is that?
To put it bluntly, white America. We have to come together and marshal our collective resources to gain influence in this country.
And so, from your position as a board member, you sought to use Far East resources to gain influence
Yes.
for China.
No, I didn't say that.
I'm sorry, I thought you did.
No, I was talking about gaining influence for Chinese Americans.
Right.
Not China. There's a difference.
But still,
What?
obviously if China becomes more powerful, that strengthens the hand of the Chinese living here, wouldn't you agree?
No, I don't agree.
You don't.
Listen, my loyalty is to America.
But you just said you sought to fight the power of white America, isn't that true? Before you punch that button, I think it's only fair to tell you that I've already gotten everything I need from my story. End this interview now, and you're not doing yourself any favors. Serious charges have been leveled against Far East National. Money laundering, violation of campaign finance laws, aiding a foreign power, possibly even complicity in espionage. As a bank director, you are legally and financially responsible for the activities under your watch. You look at me like I'm your enemy, but I have no agenda, which means I could be the best friend you've got in the world right now, assuming you're innocent. Do I believe you solicited illegal deposits from China? Of course not. Do I believe you knew about the activity and turned a blind eye, at least in part to further the empowerment of your community? Well, that's a more complicated question. But if you're innocent, I'm going to need more from you than the kind of spin you dish out to arts and leisure. Now, I'm going to need some real meat.
Look, I'm telling the truth. I knew practically nothing of the bank's dealings, really.
I realize we're just daddy's little rubber stamp. But that fact puts you in a position to enlighten me on something far more interesting than any balance sheet.
Like what?
I want to know about your father. How often does he go to China? Who does he see there? Has he ever expressed any anger, bitterness, resentment towards America? Does he still have relatives in the old country? Friends? Anyone connected to the government or the military?
You're asking me to give up my father?
Only if there's something to give up. David, if there's one thing you care about, according to my research, it's what others think of you. I believe you're a loyal American. That's what I would write about you. Just give me something to work with.
Why are you going after my father?
I'm reporting on the work of federal investigators.
Who cleared him of this stuff years ago?
Yeah, well, they've reopened the case. Mr. Huang, your father is a Chinese banker.
The Chinese American.
Exactly.
There's a difference.
And it's that difference that interests me. If I were investigating Israeli espionage, I'd look to the Jewish community. It's just logical. Does your father see himself as more American or more Chinese?
That question makes no sense.
On the contrary, I think it's quite relevant.
How about you? Do you see yourself as more American or more white?
That's not the same.
No?
Not in the least.
Why not?
Because there's no conflict between being white and being American.
Did you really just say that? There's a conflict between being Chinese and being American?
No, of course. What I
And
meant-
how convenient we even got that on tape.
I should have said it's not the same because white is a race and China is a nation.
You should have, but you didn't. You know, you're gonna make a fascinating character.
What?
When I write a play about all this.
You're going to write a play about me.
I'm gonna have to use that quote someplace.
You can't.
Why not? You're writing about me, aren't you?
I'm a reporter.
And I'm a playwright. Nice to meet you. God, I really thought we were past all this yellow peril. Where are you really from?
You're taking my slip completely out of context.
No, I'm putting it in context. According to my research, let's review your stories. The illegal sale of satellite technology to China. The campaign finance scandal. Wen Ho-Lee, and now the charges against Far East National, they're all yours, aren't they?
I wrote each one with a partner.
Oh, don't be modest. It's amazing to think that one reporter has broken all those stories. That you managed to find so many evil Asians lurking in so many dark corners of this country. You look at folks like my dad, like Wen Ho-Lee, and suddenly their eyes might as well be taped up and covered in piss-colored makeup, because all you see are all those bad guys in the movies who ever put on yellow face.
You have no idea what I do or don't see.
Alright then, as background research for my new show, would you care to explain why you see such a conflict between being Chinese and being American?
Mr. Huang, there's ample evidence of illegal Chinese activity in this country. Your father received $92 million in deposits from China. How do you explain that?
I'd say he was successful.
Obviously. But the money was funneled into a maze of accounts.
What, they're supposed to put $92 million in one account?
So you're going to sit here and tell me this entire investigation is completely baseless?
You know, you could have accused my dad of a half a dozen other things, and I would have gone, okay, well, maybe. But disloyalty to America? A country he loves has been his home for the last 50 years? How come with Asians the charge that always makes headlines is also the least original?
Okay. I gave you your chance.
I feel it's only fair to warn you, I already have everything I need to write my play.
As if that's so difficult, anything missing from your story, hell, you'll just make it up.
Isn't that what all writers do?
I search for a story to fit the facts, not the other way around.
But you arrange the facts, decide what's important and what's not, till you find a story that makes sense to your
You
mind.
don't like my stories, fine. I present them as theories.
And I present mine as fiction. So what do you care if you end up in my play?
I'm no one. There's nothing about me in the media. I've kept it that way. You see, Mr. Huang, I'm anonymous.
All the more reason for me to start writing. You really deserve a little more attention for your impressive body of work. You wrote Whitewater too, didn't you? And wasn't that a great service to this country?
Just understand this. If you use my name, you will find yourself in court. The Times is quite vigilant in matters like these.
You can't sue me if this conversation actually happened.
As far as I'm concerned, it didn't.
But there's a tape.
What tape?
No? Well, then how will you write your story on me?
I won't. Fortunately, you didn't provide me with any useful information for my research.
It's funny, because you provided plenty for my new play.
Sorry you can't use my name. But hey, you can always use your own.
Don't be ridiculous. When you write an autobiographical play, no one uses their real name. That would be self-indulgent.
You talk like someone who's actually written a play in ages.
Well, thank you for giving me something to say again.
Have a good time in front of the Senate Banking Committee. It's an experience, believe me. Maybe you can write about it.
Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, to Henry Y. Huang. Your application for a charter to organize a new federal bank is denied. We couldn't give Henry Huang another bank charter, not while he was under investigation. Approval by us at that time would have invited serious congressional scrutiny.
David? We still have more treatment options available for your father, but so far his cancer markers are not going down. And the PET scan suggests that the condition may have metastasized to his liver. Honestly, we caught that first tumor so early, the chemo should have knocked it right out, but it seems your father's case is particularly aggressive.
Listen, Dad, Mom found this new gene therapy treatment. It's experimental, but we think we can get you into the clinical.
Wait. You know, son, I used to believe in America, but now I don't anymore. I don't even put my money into minority banks anymore because the system doesn't play fair. I put my money into mainstream banks where at least it will be safe. When I was a kid in Shanghai, my favorite star of all was Jimmy Stewart. He was so kind, always doing things for other people. And when the chips were down, he'd give it to the bad guys, tell them off, and everyone would listen to him. When I started the bank, I thought now I can be Jimmy Stewart too. But when I try to stop those guys who are after me, I can't beat them this time. I'm not Jimmy Stewart after all. So Dave, I don't want any new fancy treatment. My real life, it's not here anymore. I'm ready to go. And I'll do it my way.
David, I heard about your father's illness, and if there's anything I can do, anything at all, please.
Why are you torturing me? Why won't you just leave me alone? Get out of my life. Why do you keep popping up every place I look, being all good and noble and completely disgusting?
Thanks for the compliment.
Why do you do all this?
Because it feels good to be part of something bigger than myself. How's your dad?
Hanging around the ICU, a career in tatters, trying to survive an American purge. Other than that, he's great.
I read that story about him in the Times.
You and the rest of the world, it's all gotten too big, too many investigations. They gotta back some game or else end up looking really bad. That's all Dad needs to finish his life in prison.
What can we do to help him?
You can help me by going away.
Sorry, I'm just trying to...
Yeah, well, it's easy for you to help. You're holding all the cards.
I'm under investigation too, remember?
All you have to do to save yourself is take off your mask. Let them see who you really are.
You think I don't know that? Sure, I could save myself, but what good would that do the community? The investigators would hush up my case and keep going after people like your dad.
Unless...
What?
Unless they couldn't.
Couldn't what?
I mean, unless they couldn't hush it up.
I don't understand.
Listen, you really want to help the community?
Yes.
Then take off your mask. Not behind closed doors or on some little cell phone call. No, do it in public. Where the bastards won't be able to make you go away. Can you imagine how idiotic all their investigations will look? Once the American public learns that in their determination to find evil Chinese spies, this government spent millions of taxpayer dollars just to end up going after a regular American.
You want me to go to the press. But if I go public with who I really am, I'll have to leave the community. I mean, people will be so pissed they'll never speak to me again. And David, I love this community.
How much? More than yourself?
You're talking about my whole life. And you know, it wouldn't just be me who'd get into trouble. It'd be you, too.
What are you...
How could I come out as white without explaining how I got mistaken as Asian?
Good point.
So, we agree.
All right then, I'll go with you to the interview. Explain how this whole misunderstanding came about, that you'd never be able to pass yourself off as an Asian except for me. That it was all my fault.
You would do that? You know it'll make you look bad.
Marcus, do you remember the Chinese concept of face?
Yeah, but why?
I'm willing to go out there and lose my face. How about you?
New York Times. Staffers probing Chinese investigations cast too wide a net. Written by me. Government officials probing accusations of illegal campaign contributions from Asian donors are investigating a U.S.
Citizen with no Asian ancestry at all. I'm reading this in the paper, so it can't be true, right?
Leah, please. Nothing's changed about me. Just my past, right?
I see. Yes, right. Which means everything has changed about you, Marcus. Did you ever tell me the truth about anything?
Leah, I love you. That was never a lie. You gotta believe me.
I do. And believing you makes me sick to my stomach. Don't touch me.
The origins of this almost comical mishap involve a strange cast of characters, including Tony Award-winning playwright David Henry Hwang.
I cast Marcus as an Asian in my play, not knowing he was actually a white man. After I realized my mistake, I tried to conceal my blunder by passing him off as a Siberian Jew.
How could I resist a story like that? It was just too delicious. You see, I told the truth. I really have no agenda.
After the Times ran its story unmasking Marcus, Jay Leno joked in his monologue that federal investigators were planning to go after Pamela and Tommy Lee, Neil Sedaka, and the lead singer of Wang Chung. This marked the turning point of the Chinese espionage scandals of the late 1990s. Shelby's banking committee ended their investigation without ever subpoenaing my father. Fred Thompson's probe withered away. Wen Ho Lee spent 9 months in solitary confinement before the charges against him were finally dropped by Judge James Parker.
I sincerely apologize to you, Dr. Lee, for the unfair manner you were held in captivity, which has embarrassed our nation and all of its citizens.
Rocco Palmieri, former aide to Senator Fred Thompson, posting on RealClearPolitics.com. So, the Chinese won the first round, but we were on the right track. 9/11 threw this country into an extended distraction phase. Once Osama bin Laden and his cronies have been brought under control, this country will wake up and realize, while we've been expending our time and resources in the Middle East, our real enemies have been taking advantage of this window to make themselves even more formidable. The Chinese investigations aren't over, not by a long shot. They're merely on hiatus until our next war begins. Because America's real enemy in the 21st century will be China.
New York Times, October 13, 2005. Henry Y. Hwang, who founded the first Asian American-owned federally chartered bank in the continental United States, died Saturday at his home in San Marino, California. He was 77.
My father's obituary was picked up by the wire services and ran in over 250 media outlets from Mississippi to Taiwan. I thought he would have liked that. Marcus came to my father's memorial service, and afterwards we went for a walk. I always kind of believed Dad would be able to talk his way out of anything. He was the only person I'd ever known who went in for an IRS audit and came out with a bigger refund.
I see your point.
can't believe he's actually gone.
I'm sorry.
But here's the thing that gets me. In the end, he even lost his dream. And you know something? Maybe that's what killed him. Sick as I got of hearing his shtick, it had been Dad's whole life, his faith that in America you can imagine who you want to be and through sheer will and determination become that person. If only it were true.
But it is. Look at me.
Huh?
I imagine myself as something completely different from what I was.
No.
And then through sheer will and determination, just like your dad.
I can't believe you're going there. Listen, you're no one's idea of the American dream, okay?
Then why did you create me?
Marcus?
Be honest. I'm a character in this play you've written about your dad and yourself and what happened with that reporter who we're not supposed to say his real name.
I wasn't planning to get into this.
I think you should.
No, see, I was planning to maintain the ambiguity about reality versus fiction through the end of the
that's
play.
intellectually dishonest.
Hey, if you're my creation, do what I say.
Come on, Dave. Any characters worth their salt eventually go their own way. Now tell the truth. You can do it.
This is kind of humiliating.
It's a little late in the show to start worrying about humiliating yourself.
Marcus is a fictional character created by me.
Why?
Because I'm a writer, and in the end, everything's always all about me.
And?
Okay, years ago I discovered a face. One that I could live more fully than anything I'd ever tried. As the years went by, my face became my mask, and I just became another actor running around in yellowface. That's where you came in. To take words like Asian and American, like race and nation, mess them up so bad no one has any idea what they even mean anymore. Because that was Dad's dream. A world where he could be Jimmy Stewart and a white guy can even be Asian. That's what you do when your dad dies. You start making his dream your own.
And now you don't need me anymore. But do me a favor. Write me a happy ending. Okay?
They're not my specialty, but I'll try. I'll send you to a Chinese village called Zhenkong. Final email from Marcus G. Dahlman to David Henry Huang. Received sometime tomorrow.
Dear David, it's happened at last. 9 months after my arrival in Dong Country, tonight, as they gathered together for the big song, I saw a couple of villagers gesturing for me to come closer. I got up and ascended the steps under the eaves to the pagoda, and no one stopped me. They saw who I am and gave me face. As I opened my mouth, the music began to speak to me in words only I could hear. Get over yourself. This song is only doing what it has always done. taking in voices from all the lands and all the peoples who have ever crossed its path. Though that road has been messy, it made this song for nothing of value, nothing which lasts, nothing human is ever pure. I joined the big song and I found the thing I'd lost. A reason to hope. And now, I can go home.
Hey, it can happen. For Marcus, the play ends, and I go back to work, searching for my own face.